We should get started then and welcome
Mhm.
everyone here. And I'm just excited to be able to talk to you today. So, welcome everyone. I am Heidi. I am the webinar moderator. I'm also a podcaster and I'm a presenter. But most of all, I'm just happy to be here with all of you today. And so, are you ready? Are you ready to learn? Are you ready to grow? Are you ready to succeed? Then let's get started. So we are here with Abbie, and I'm going to take the screen share off so hopefully you can see Abbie's face now. We still don't have video of you, it looks like, Abbie.
Let's see.
There we
I can do
go.
that. I
I
could do
love
that.
it. Yes, we can see you now. That's
Thank you.
awesome. Well,
Mhm.
Abbie, start out by just telling us a little bit about your background, a little bit about you.
Well, from what aspect? Personal life, professional life,
No,
educational life?
sure, whatever you want to share with us, that would be great.
Okay.
You've done a
Well, let's
lot. I was reading your information and you are involved in a lot of things. So you share
yes.
with everybody how amazing you are.
Well, let's see. I was born and raised in Virginia, in the capital of Richmond, and my first profession was teaching in the classroom. And I taught for 5 years in France in a small town about 60 kilometers northwest of Paris. So I lived there for 5 years and then moved back to Virginia and continued teaching. So I've taught both in the public and the private sectors for 14 years between France and Virginia. And then I went back to school and got a master's in professional counseling. And just after I finished that, I was hired by Governor Mike Leavitt here in Utah. And so came to Utah and headed up three of his governor's commissions: the Governor's Commission on Marriage, the Governor's Commission on Women and Families, and the Governor's Initiative on Families Today. And that one dealt with the 5 ethnic offices, and I worked with the ethnic offices, and that was so enriching. So I was there for 4 years. Governor Leavitt went to Washington to work as the head of the Department of Health and Human Services. So then I went to the city, worked for 10 years for the city, building their substance abuse prevention program. And it's basically community mobilization and coalition building. And then, of course, doing initiatives that are science based. So during that time, I was involved with an NGO, a nonprofit in Washington, D.C., Community Anti Drug Coalitions of America, because they offered the best training for coalition building that was available, that still is available. So I knew them and they knew me because I would go out and present at their national conferences every few years. And Salt Lake City had some very innovative initiatives. We were the first in the nation to wrap our garbage trucks with prevention messages, which is such a brilliant idea because it's an ambulatory billboard, right? Everyone in the neighborhood sees it. And we put out messages on the dangers of alcohol with our youth. So when CADCA started doing their uh, coalition building trainings internationally, they needed people who could do it in different languages. And I wrote them back and let them know that I could do it in French. So they didn't know that about me and they immediately hired me. So in the last 2 years that I was with the city, because that was a federal grant, I was working full time for the city and then running over to Africa for a week and then coming back. And so I was doing both. And then the grant with the city ended. We had the full 10-year grant. And so for the last, well, since I started in 2012, last year was the first year I had not traveled. I would go to Africa 8 times a year. That's a lot of time on airplanes, I must admit. When we got furloughed this year, I took a lot of naps back in March of last year. Took a lot of naps, just catching up because that's over 40 planes a year. But the work is wonderful, and I work in 19 communities in 3 countries in Africa, and we worked in Haiti also. So now since we can't go, we are doing our training. So I had a training all morning in Senegal. I also am
But
a
you were online the whole time, so you don't
yes,
have to actually
yes,
go anywhere anymore. Yeah.
yes. But of course, we all miss each other very much, and we would
Yes.
prefer to be able to go. But it at least is keeping the work going and growing. On the side, I have my own private practice as a board certified life coach. I went past my master's degree in professional counseling and got certified. There is a national program out that you can get actual national board certification. So I do life coaching, and then I do my service work, and I have been on quite a few boards um, during my years here in Utah, because I've now been in Utah for 20 years. And with the Uplift families, which is what your prime interest is today, I've been the vice president, and then with the Herberts leaving office, because this was governor's wife, First Lady of Utah, Jeanette Herbert, her personal initiative for parenting. She had uh, a childcare preschool type situation for 20, 25 years, and she saw the need for parenting skills. We all can use parenting skills.
Absolutely.
So she hired a wonderful, talented, creative executive director, Steve James, who put together a board, and a few of Jeanette's people too. And we all came together, and we've worked together for 10 years. And Uplift Families is very much going forward and growing and growing.
I love it. That is great. I love your background. You do. You've got a lot of things going on, and I appreciate you even taking time to talk to me today. So thank you for that as well. I know
Yes,
you're very busy, so I
yes.
appreciate your time, but I'm dying to know all about this Uplift Families that you're involved in.
Okay. Well, we decided that if we could help parents gain skills, then probably things would go better at home. And if things go better at home, things go better at work. It's just it's all linked together. We are not compartmentalized. We carry our concerns with us. So, but really, our main goal is to strengthen families, because families are the backbone of society. A strong city, a strong state, a strong nation is made up of strong families. And so we did not want to create a program that wasn't necessary. I also trained for the Strengthening Families program, which is considered the number one program in the world for outcomes. What we wanted to do was to link parents to good skills, to good resources. And we have a wonderful website, Uplift Families, and families is plural, upliftfamilies.org. And on that website, we have a wonderful parent resource center. And we set it up so mothers or fathers didn't have to click too deeply to do a search. They could click on the age of their child, click on the issue, and then they would immediately be linked to a multitude of resources. We've had over 1,000 resources on there, and we vet them before we put them on there. So these are bona fide, safe resources.
What are some examples of some of the resources that are on there?
Well, for example, we have many, many organizations here in Utah. We also link to national organizations. But for example, I think it's easier to tell you what some of the issues that we link with. I mean, autism, early childhood learning, substance abuse, discipline, just anything almost that you can need. And so that is all on the website. It's our Parent Resource Center, and we have not found a larger one out there yet. So we work on that continually, keeping it up to date and growing. We also have held a yearly parenting conference. And for the last few years, we held it down at Thanksgiving Point, and we would have about 500 parents come. But we also filmed it and broadcast it out so that people in other areas could watch it too. And we put all of the talks, they're called tips talks, teaching important parenting skills. And we put that on our website. So people who couldn't make it to the conference can go and listen to the speakers on the website.
And the
Another,
speakers are professionals. The speakers are
oh yes,
professionals in their area that came to
yes,
the conference. And so you
absolutely.
aren't doing the conference anymore, or not doing it this year, but you can
Oh,
still find the information.
we did it in an even bigger way this
Oh,
year. I'll tell you about that.
you can see the world.
It's amazing. So yes, we have Richard and Linda Iyer, Matt Townsend. We had Brad Barton. We've had, I can't even tell you all the wonderful speakers we have had, men and women who are at the top of their profession. Sometimes we will get someone who is inspirational, but they usually can turn their message towards parenting, because boy, parents need a lot of inspiration. I think it's the hardest job on earth, frankly. It's very hard.
Very hard.
And there's not a whole lot of ego satisfaction in parenting. Most of the time, mothers are beating themselves up thinking, oh, I did that wrong. So parents need a lot of support. In fact, we based even our talks in the beginning on surveys that had been done throughout Utah, and the issues that parents felt that they were having the most difficulty with. And a big one is pornography. And so we address that. And then also the word came back quite strongly that parents felt overwhelmed with parenting and they needed help with parenting. And I'm sure parents have been very overwhelmed with the pandemic. So what we did this year, because we could not and would not hold a live conference, our partner KUTV Channel 2, our executive director of Utah of Uplift Families, who happens also to be a producer, produced a primetime television conference, and we had it's the same conference, but it was in a primetime television on Channel 2, and we had a 4.0 rating with 86,000 viewers.
Yeah, that's way better than a live conference would have been.
Exactly. So we will continue to partner with Channel 2, and we will do that again this year. So we are very excited about that. So we have grown tremendously this past year. We came up as #1 in the search engine for parenting conference. We've had 3,800 Uplift Families commercial spots that were aired on KUTV, KMYU, and KJazz with more than 12 million impressions. And another thing that pleases us greatly is with visits to our website, we have had a third are male, which is wonderful, which is wonderful. And we also get our speakers to write articles for us on parenting. And we've had just wonderful, wonderful, informative, helpful articles that we post on the website, but also we have an email blast and we send them out through the email, and we have gotten no spam complaints. So we take that as a high compliment.
No unsubscribes. Everybody wants your information.
The unsubscribe rate is 0.009, and no complaints about spam. So we're very, very, very pleased. So yes, we've just been growing, and I'm sure we will start going more on a national level in the future, because parents everywhere need the help.
Yeah, well, and where you have the website and the television spot, that's really growing. When is the television spot coming up? You said it's coming soon.
I'm not sure of the date yet, but it's usually in September.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, September or October. We usually went between those 2 months because we had to work around the governor's gala. for Mrs. Herbert to be able to be there and the governor to be there.
Okay.
But now they are retiring, and so we are going forward. And I'm not sure of the date yet, but we do have the partnership in place with KUTV, and we will be able to continue doing this wonderful primetime television. And so many people are so happy to be able to watch it at home.
Oh, yeah, that's a
Yeah.
great gift for people. And this is
Yes.
all free to people as well. All your resources on the Uplift Families
Yes.
website,
Yes.
everything's free to parents to be able to access information.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. The conference had a cost to it because we gave dinner with it, but now with the primetime television special, it's free for anyone who wants to watch it. And when we did our live conferences, it was translated into Spanish. And I'm not sure if we did that on our primetime television show. I'll have to check with Steve James, who is our producer. But so yes, we do as much as we can to get out to as many different areas and different parents, different ages. We have a lot of grandparents who are parenting, and they've been a large segment of our viewership.
Well, and that's what reminds me, like this webinar is going to be heard by administrators and teachers and substitutes. And
Yes,
so I was connecting that with what you're doing as well. We're all teachers.
yes,
So how does
yes.
this Uplift Families help teachers and administrators?
Well, any parenting skill, any elementary school teacher or middle school teacher knows that they need some good communication skills, listening skills, responding skills, positive discipline skills, all the types of skills that we teach for parenting can be applied in the classroom for sure. Yes.
So they can use that as a resource for their
Yes,
job
yes,
and for home.
yes, for their
Yeah.
own lives and for their work.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I
Yes.
love that. I'm so glad you talked about this because one of my dear friends is actually a principal at a very small school in a small town, and they are dealing with an autistic child who's being very unruly and just
Yes.
struggling. And he was just telling me about it this weekend. Like, I don't even know what my resources are as a principal. What can I do? How can I help this
Yes.
kid? Their own parents can't handle him. So I'm going to tell him
Yes.
about Uplift
Yes.
Families.
We do have resource links for autism for sure, because that is a very big issue.
Yeah,
A
it
very big
sounds like
issue.
it.
Yes.
And it might be some things that will help the principal, the teachers, and the parents, it sounds like.
Yes. Yes.
So,
Absolutely. Yes. We are growing in our viewership base and our number of people who visit the site, but it's always wonderful to be able to spread the word more that this resource is available for parents. We have a wonderful board of experts, of professionals who have worked on this initiative now for 10 years. And I don't think of any, we had one person leave the board because they were moving, but we're really the core board. And it's been a good group of people working together, and excellent level of expertise and professionalism, and just coming together to grow this initiative.
and this is a service that you do. So why would you
Yes.
want to be involved in this of all the things you could do as a volunteer
Uh,
thing?
Well, the things that I do on a volunteer basis have all been to do with the family. As a professional counselor, I'm very interested in relationships. And so anything that I can do that helps to build good, strong relationships, I'm there. So the other boards that I have been on have been dealing with those types of things too.
Love it. That's great. I think
Yes.
that's what we need to do in the education field. It is about relationships as well.
It is. It is. Even with community-based organizations, for example, I do one of my areas of expertise is in coalition building. That's all based on relationships. My personal feeling is that life is all about relationships. We need to learn how to create good relationships, and with ourselves, with our spouses, partners, with our families, with our community, with our neighborhood. It really is. And everything that we get done in life is done through some form of relationship. So it's good to have some skills there.
Yeah, it's critical, really,
Yeah,
for life.
right.
Yeah, I love that.
Right.
Well, is there any, yeah, go ahead. Is there any
Well,
other?
no, I was going to say that's what I love so much about my work in Africa is that it's all based on relationships, 19 different communities of relationships. And people are the same the world over. There are cultural differences, religious differences, but parenting is pretty much the same everywhere. So we're all in this together.
Yes, yes, I love
Yes.
that. And we all
Yeah.
want to help these kids in their
Yes.
own, be able
Yes.
to achieve what they want to achieve and be able to
Yes.
live in a loving environment and feel like they're free to go on and improve the world in their own way. So they need that support.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And children really struggle with things that other generations have not had to deal with or to face. And so the more tools that we can give parents to use to help them have good communication and good relationships with their children, then their children are more freed up to be able to grow and develop into their full potential.
absolutely. What do you
Yeah.
see as some of the biggest issues right now? You said autism and pornography. Was there any other?
Those are big ones. Well, with a lot of the learning disabilities
Okay.
that children have today, the dangers in the world today, having so much media is a big problem. We know from so much research that social media is actually causing loneliness, which is so fascinating because the very thing the kids are trying to do is to connect. I would say communication is becoming a problem because they're communicating by Snapchat, Instagram. They're not even really texting much anymore. And they left Facebook a long time ago when the parents figured out and got on Facebook, right?
It's so
The
true.
kid, the kids left like lemmings.
Yes.
So learn for kids to learn how to communicate with each other and with adults. This loneliness, a lot of mood disorders, anxiety, and depression. Um, I think the pandemic has been very hard on children, although we were very worried about the children, and actually the research shows it's been harder for parents. And I can understand why, because they're juggling working at home and now having to homeschool their kids, which they've never done before. I do think teachers are coming out smelling like a rose after this because it's very hard.
Yes, a
And
lot more appreciation for
yes,
teachers.
I think so. And well deserved and finally
Finally.
recognized, right?
Yes. Yes.
So kids need to be with their kids, other kids, that's their job description at their age is to learn and be with other children. So it's been hard on them. It has,
Yeah.
being isolated from each other. And virtual is better than nothing, but it's not the same as being in a room with other physical bodies. It really is very different.
Yeah. We
Yeah.
all need that. So
Yes.
it sounds like upliftfamilies.org is a website that anybody can access and be able to
Yes.
get information to help with any
Yes.
problems they might be currently facing.
Yes, the types of information they can find are through the Parent Resource Center, which is just click, 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 and they link in with just literally hundreds of vetted resources. Number two is the videos of the speakers at the different parenting conferences over the years. And number three, articles that are written by these parenting experts. So,
Nice.
yes, there's a wealth of information on that site.
Well, the Ready to Teach that sponsors this webinar that you and I are doing deals with getting substitute teachers. And
Yes,
so I know this would be great resource for anybody getting into substitute teaching as well. I think the
yes,
skills you can
yes.
learn as a parent will come in handy.
And teachers can use this as a resource to give to parents because
Yeah,
their classrooms will go a whole lot more smoothly if parents are gaining more skills.
yeah, that's
Just
so
like if
true.
if teachers gain more skills, the kid benefits. It's the children that benefit from parents and teachers having better skills,
Oh, love that. That's
which are
great.
learnable. Which are
Yeah,
learnable.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's right there for us. So
Yes.
we can just take the time to learn it and improve
Well, and
ourselves.
and it takes a lot of pressure off and a lot of stress off the parent and off the teacher. Um, struggling to deal with situations when there really are skills, tools for the toolbox that help us learn how to better respond rather than to be reactive to certain situations.
Yeah, so that's what I was just going to ask. So when they
Yes.
go to the website and they watch or read some of this information, it actually gives them real tools
Oh,
that they can use in any situation to be
yes.
able to decrease the
Y-
contention or the
Yes,
issue.
exactly.
Okay.
Yes. Thanks for bringing that up, Heidi, because that is one of the stipulations we give our speakers. We say we want concrete, applicable skills that the parents can take home and implement. That's one of the criteria for their talks that they give. And they're similar to TED Talks. The first year when we did the conference, we started with breakout sessions, workshops, but we quickly realized that what we wanted to do was keep the attendees static and then move the speakers across the stage, much like TED Talks. So they're called TIPS talks,
I
as I
love the
said, teaching
tips. Yes.
important parenting skills. That was Mrs. Herbert's inspiration. And so on the televised program, that's what we do. The parents are now seated at home and the teachers, the speakers pass across the screen. So, and the speeches are usually anywhere from 10 minutes to 12 to 15 minutes. So they're much like TED Talks. So yeah, that gives us more opportunity to have more variety.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. And that's what you said, just a variety of topics, which will help with
Yes.
different things. But then that tool and that like nugget to take home and be able to use right
Oh,
away is
yes.
invaluable. So,
Concrete applicable is the key word.
okay. I love
Yeah.
that.
Mhm.
Sounds like Uplift Families is a great resource for anyone,
It is.
teachers, parents, anyone.
Yes.
So,
Yes, it really is. It's been a work of love and
oh,
a joy to do. Yes. And we're excited to keep growing it. We've entered into a new phase now, sort of poof, gone from a 500 person plus. I must admit, we did, video it out to other areas, but to be able to jump to 86,000
uh,
people was a big jump. And we're so happy for that.
oh, I'm so
Yeah.
glad. This is great. And I've
Yes.
enjoyed
Thank you.
learning more about it. So this has
Thank
been
you.
very informative for me as well. Something that
Thank
I would
you.
like to look at as a resource, even though
Oh, good.
my kids are grown, I think we still have that influence with our grandkids
Mhm.
or with the neighbor
Sure.
kids or with your family.
Absolutely.
So I think it's
Oh,
an important thing.
if even if grandparents are not actually grandparenting, but many are full-time parents,
Yeah,
grandparents are so important in the lives of grandchildren. And when grandparents have the skill set, it helps them because generationally things do change
things are
over
different.
time.
Right.
The way that grandparents used to parent doesn't work with children today.
Not at all.
No, so
No.
it's very helpful to have the skill. So yes, we do have grandparents who have attended our conference in the past and who do look at we keep analytics. We have a company in California that does all our analytics. So we know a whole lot about who comes and what they look at and how long they stay so that we can better tailor our message to our public.
Nice. That's great.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
super great. Well,
Yes.
thank you,
Thank
Abby.
you, Heidi, for the
This has
opportunity to
been,
share Uplift Families.
yes,
It's
I appreciate that.
a wonderful resource tool for parents
Yeah.
and grandparents and for anyone.
Teachers and administrators, anyone who cares
Yes,
about kids needs to get on this
absolutely.
Uplift Families and find out more information.
Yes. Thank you for the opportunity.
So I appreciate it. And thank you
Mhm.
for anyone who's joined us today on this webinar or will be listening later. We will have it on the Ready to Teach website here in the next couple of days. So people can
Wonderful.
hear it again there. But we're just grateful for everyone that joined us and for Abby
Yes.
for taking time to talk to us. And
Thank you.
just hope everybody has a great week.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much,
Okay,
Heidi.
take care.
Goodbye.
Bye.